Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a racing seat install from Braum Racing on my 350Z. Hey guys, so I really want to make a complete guide on how to install some aftermarket racing seats. It doesn't tell a lot, there's a lot of shortcuts you could take, but this video right here is going to do a whole complete guide on every piece if you want to go all in on the aftermarket seats. Alright, so the car I'm going to be doing the install on is going to be my 07 350Z. And as you see, it's completely stock seats, seat belts, no harness bar, nothing like that. So we're gonna go and transform this whole thing. Alright, so one of the main questions that I had when I was doing everything and just buying everything online, doing research, was what do I all need? And as I was doing the research, basically you're gonna need the seats, you're gonna need the harness, seat brackets, and you're gonna need the harness bar. Now some people do skip out on some stuff, like I was saying earlier. Some people just do the seats and the brackets, and then they skip out on the harness and then the harness bar. Some people just do the harness by itself. But I want to do a complete guide on how to do everything. So I'm doing the seats, the harness, the seat bracket, and the harness bar. So one last thing that I did miss is when I was doing research on my 350Z, on the 0708 models, on the passenger seat, basically the trigger to activate the airbag is inside the seat. And so basically when I put the new seat in, I'm not going to have that trigger because it's inside the seat. So basically there is a bypass, and you would need to buy like some type of emulator like this, which basically you just plug it in, and then it lets the airbag still deploy if anything does happen and all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely look into that on your make and model. But if you are running the 0708 350Z, you will be needing one of these emulators. Or else you're gonna have a dash light, and second, the airbag won't deploy on the passenger seat, so that's no good. So I definitely look into that, as you're buying everything. Alright, so with the seats that I went with Braum. I definitely look at many options, but definitely to me, I like the style that Braum brings and everything. And the price is not too bad. I picked them up on Black Friday, so I got a pretty good deal on that. So if you're looking to pick up seats, Black Friday is the way to go. But with the seats that I went with is the Elite X series. Got them in red with the black stitching on the Braum. Yeah, pretty sick. Never sat in racing seats before, so definitely comfortable. I would definitely recommend them. So just a couple tips. So basically when picking these up, Braum does include the sliders, so you're covered on that. But lastly, you're gonna need some hardware. You can obviously go to your closest hardware store, look around the whole store, spend some time doing that. Or Braum does offer like a kit with their hardware. I would just say it was like about 12 bucks. I would just say just order that, just save you some time. So I would definitely recommend picking that up as you're ordering everything as well. Alright, so now it's time for the fun part. So on the 350Z, there's 4 bolts holding down the seat. Size on it, 14 mil. Please ignore the mess. Basically when you take out the seats, it's a perfect chance to clean out the car. But yeah, let's go and get started. Alright, so once you take off the 4 screws, you're gonna have to take off this plug right here, this white piece, and it looks like it's being held down by 2 zip ties. So go ahead and cut those, and then you should be able to take out the seat. Alright, so now it's time to install the seat brackets and the sliders onto the seat. So with the seat brackets that I went with, I decided to go with DNA motoring seat brackets. Reason why is because they sit pretty low. And so basically on the 350Z, if you get like other types, most of the time the driver sits lower than the passenger, and the passenger sometimes can touch the roof. And I didn't want that. I wanted them to be even. So I did a little bit of research, and with these here, they should be even, so same height and all that kind of stuff, and they sit pretty low. So as far as doing the sliders, on the bottom of the seat there's 4 screws. You want to go ahead and take them out, and then you want to take your slider here, you want to line it up just like this here. So this here is the back of the seat, this is the front of the seat, And then what you do is you take out the screw that you took out, you line it up, and then you just put it back in there. And that's it. One quick tip when you're putting the bolts in, basically you can move this piece here, and you just want to push on this piece right here. You push it down, and then once you push it down, it'll let you move this up and down as you need, so you can get to the holes that you need on both sides. So when you put this piece in here for the slider, basically there's 2 holes on each side, and then all you got to do is just push them in here. There's 2 indents. Just want to make sure they go in on both sides. On this one, you're gonna have to pull in a little bit to get it to go in correctly. All right, so now on to the seat bracket here. So basically same scenario as you did with the slider. You gotta move it up and down so you can line up the holes. And in this case, if you went ahead and purchased the extra equipment here, this is where you use it. If not, you'll have to go to your local store and pick some up here. But this one here I bought extra with the Braum order, and it was only additional $12, so it was definitely worth it. Also, just a quick tip, just to make it a little bit easier, just don't tighten this all the way in, so that way it can move. So that way, you got enough leeway to, move it as you need. Because if you tighten it up, you can't move it, and it just makes it harder on yourself. So that's just a quick tip. All right, so I got both brackets on the passenger and the driver's seat. So the only thing that I'm seeing is with this bracket here, is this piece here looks like it is gonna dig into the seat. I personally don't mind, but just make sure there's no edging, any sharp edging on here, or else it will dig in and rip it. But other than that, it's pretty much in on both sides. The driver's seat is just the same as the passenger. But yeah, once you get that done, then you're pretty much ready to put the seats into the car. All right, so I just cleaned out the passenger side. I'm gonna be doing the passenger first. From what I've been hearing, is the passenger is probably the hardest part. So I just want to get done with that part first. So what I'm going to do first, before I put on the seats, I'm going to put on the emulator here for the airbag. So there's 2 plugins, one for the seat belt and one for the airbag. Now you don't have to go this option, but I definitely recommend it, just because if you don't, you're going to have a dash light and your airbag's not going to deploy on your passenger side, so that's no good. But yeah, everything that I have and everything that I bought throughout the video, I'm going to have a link in the description, so that way you guys, if you guys want to pick one up, you guys know where to. The seats are now in, both passenger and driver's seat. Looking pretty good so far. So now that I got these 2 finally all done, next thing I'm going to work on is the harness bar. Alright, so to get started with the harness bar here, you're going to be doing 4 bolts. 2 of them are under this carpet here. So one is going to be off this hole right here on the right side. This should already be in there. And we're going to be using this guy right here as well. And on the front, we're going to be using where the seatbelt holders on the left and on the right. I already started working on that one, but I'll show you guys how that works. So with the harness bar, I went with the Braum brand as well. I got it here in red. Basically it comes in 3 pieces, and then it comes with some parts here that you'll be needing to put everything together. So when you're going to be removing this part here, there's a plastic piece. Just use like a flathead right here. Just go and pry it open, and then the bolt inside is a 14. So just go ahead and take that off, and this whole thing comes off. Alright, so now that we have this piece off, I'm going to recommend that you remove the spacer here. Just because you're going to need space to put on the harness bar here on this side, and if you still have the spacer, it's not going to give you enough space. So in order to do that, there's like this clip here. What you got to do with the flathead is just pry it open, and once you pry it up, then this whole thing, this spacer comes out, and yeah, that's it. Just a quick tip on here when you're doing the spacer removal: if it's giving you a hard time prying this part open, there is an indent right here. Just go ahead and place your flathead just like this, and then just pry it up. And then when you pry it up, it's going to give you more space to put the flathead between here and the spacer, the clip and the spacer. Alright, so now we're working on installing the harness bar here on the front. So got to put them on both holes here on the ends. I already got that one good. One thing I do recommend to take off one more spacer is going to be the last one here that's hanging. Just go ahead and pop it out, and that should give you enough space to fully mount everything over without giving you any issues. So this part is all good now here on both ends. Now just a tip, if you are having a hard time getting the bolt to go in on any of these sides, I just recommend getting a bigger bolt. That's something that I had to do for that end there. Some people do it without, but I had to get a bigger bolt. It all depends on the fitment. But last part is just going to be these two right here. Alright, so I got this side here bolted down here. Now it's just missing this piece here. But here on the left side, I did not have any hardware to bolt it down here to the car. So I did have to go to Home Depot. And this is the size that I did get here. M8, a 1.25. The size is 40 millimeter. This is the one I'm going to be using to get this one here to go down here. Alright, so the last piece of the puzzle is connect both bars together. And that you do it with these two bolts here. In the harness bar, they do equip 4 of them. So 2 on that side, 2 on this side. Just gotta line them up and bolt them in, and that's it. Alright, so now I got everything all bolted down here. So this side here has a cutout. This side doesn't. So if you want the carpet to sit flush, you would have to make like some kind of cut. So that way everything just sits flush. Alright guys, so now we got the seat bracket, the emulator, the seats in, and the harness bar in. The last thing is the harness in the last piece of the puzzle. I did go with Braum here. Shout out to my sister, she did hook me up with these. But yeah, let's get the final part done. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and start mounting the harnesses here. So you're going to be using 2 ends. One end is going to be on your seat bracket. The other one is going to be just the bottom end of your original seat. There's a bolt on there, you're going to take it off. And then the bolt that we're going to be using is going to be this guy here. This is already included in your harnesses box. Just a quick tip, I would take this guy off so that way it's easier to bolt this guy in here. I also did forget to mention, but in order to use the hole here that's going to be next to your seat bracket, you're going to need a nut. And so what I did is I just took this bolt here to my local Home Depot, and then I just fitted to the nut that fits it. And it was this guy here, so I recommend doing that if you want to use the seat bracket hole. Alright, so basically to get to this bolt right here, it's going to be this plastic piece. You just take it off, and then the bolt here is going to be size 14. That's going to be one of the 2 mounting points that we're going to use to hold down the harness. Alright guys, so now we got both the bottom points here all mounted in. The last part is just doing these 2 guys up here and just tying it to your bar. I'll be showing you guys that as well. But lastly, I do want to mention I'm not using a 5-point. I'm only going to be using 4, just because I don't want the piece that goes right here. Yeah. So to start off this part right here, you're going to have to remove these 2 pieces here from each end. All you got to do is untie this, and this here will then slip out. So next, then now that we got those 2 pieces off, we're going to go ahead and remove these 2 as well. Okay, so what I had to do, there's like this end here. I did have to rip this off here. I just cut it so that way I can put this in as many times as I needed to, just because the last one it wouldn't fully go through at the end. So it's up to you. I would wait until the very end until you try to cut that piece off. But basically what we're going to be doing is this is the piece here, and you want to be going under, and then you want to go over. And then mine was like around here before, so I'm just going to put it back there. Alright, so now that we got that first part going through here, what we're going to do is we're going to put the belt under the bar. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to feed it under and then back over. I would say while you're doing this the first time, don't worry about adjusting it. I would just make sure that you lock it in so that way you know how to do it. And then once you got it down the first time, then I would go ahead and adjust it. But this part right here would be when the slack on this piece here at the end. And then once we go back over, it pretty much locks it in. And then what I personally do is I have this piece here on this side of the bar, but once we go under and over, this here is basically the last part to lock it in. This is where I had to cut off that last piece, which is right here, because it wouldn't fit in on this last piece. No matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did, it wouldn't go through. So I just ended up cutting it. Alright, so now I got it tied in here to my liking. So what I did is, after the first time I did this here and locked it in, is I went around my car and seen how the Braum emblem is on the harness. And then I sat down, I latched everything on me, and I seen where I need to tighten more or put more slack on one place. And then so I just went back and forth and just redid the process just to make sure it's up to my liking. Alright, if you're a fan of aesthetics, what I would do, or what a lot of people actually do, is they actually end up rolling this piece up all the way till up here, and then you just lock it in with a zip tie. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like after. Boom. Alright, so it's all rolled up now. Put a zip tie on it. Best thing I got to do is just cut it, but I think that looks way more clean than it just flapping around. Because I had so many questions and so many different answers that I didn't know which way to go about it. But I just decided to attack it on my own way. I did do some research, I took some notes, but I gathered everything. This is pretty much how I did everything. I personally have drove the car with it for about a week now. No issues, nothing. It feels stiff, nothing. Feels secure. The seats are awesome, they're comfortable. I can fall asleep on them. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty happy, pretty satisfied with Braum as well. Got the Braum harness bar, the Braum seats, and the Braum harness. Super excited, super stoked for everything. But yeah, let me go and show you guys the front view now. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate everything. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Definitely here to help out the car community. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll drop my IG handle down on the description. Feel free to follow. I'm on there too. Ask me questions on there too. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.